Hello everyone, welcome back to my channel. So for this video, you will learn how to solve inequalities involving quadratic function algebraically without using any graphing method. So for this example, we have x squared minus 1 less than 0. And I'm going to find in which x interval satisfies with this inequality. So what is the first step of doing this? So the first step involving changing the inequality sign to equal sign and solve for x. So for this example, we have inequality sign less than sign. And I'm going to replace it by equal sign, and I'm going to solve for x. So in this example, I just replaced the equal sign with inequality sign, right? And I'm going to solve for x. Remember, how we can solve for x is to do it by factoring. I'm going to factor out this polynomial into two factors, x plus 1, x minus 1, and it is equal to 0. So by zero product, I can say x plus 1 equals 0, or x minus 1 equals 0, and we're going to solve for x. X equals -1, or x equals to 1. So when you plug in x equals to -1 and x equals to 1 to this equation, you will got the both sides equal to 0. And this equation is satisfied. So I know that -1 and 1 is not my solution for this inequalities because it's not equal to 0, right? All the numbers except -1 and 1 are the possible solution for these inequalities. But I need to figure out which interval, which x interval is the solution for these inequalities. So the second step involving drawing a number line and label x-intercept. So x-intercept happens when y equals to 0. So at this example, y equals to 0 when x equals to -1 or x equals to 1. So which means that every number except -1 and 1 is my solution for these inequalities because it's not equal to 0, right? So my goal for this question is to figure out in which x interval satisfy with these inequalities. And I have three intervals here, x less than -1, -1 to 1, and x greater than 1. So these are my three intervals. So how could I figure out which is which? So the first step involving finding any number in each interval for my test point. And I'm going to plug in the test point into the equation x squared minus 1. So for this example, I'm going to find any numbers in each interval here, and I write it down here. So I have three interval here, and I'm going to write three x value from each interval. So for this example, I have x less than -1. So for this example, I just assume that my test point is x equals to -2. So for x between 1 and -1, my test point should be 0, right? 0 is the number between -1 and 1. And for the x greater than 1, I have the test point, let's say 2, x equals to 2. So I'm going to plug in these numbers into the equation and to see if the expression here give me positive or negative values. So when I plug in x equals to -2 to this equation here, I will get -2 squared minus 1, which is 4 minus 1 give me 3. So I know that at this example, when x equals to -2, y is greater than 0. So what about x equals to 0? When I plug in x equals 0 here, 0 minus 1 give me y less than 0, right? So I have less than 0 at this case. So what about x equals to 2? When I plug in x equals to 2 here, I will get 4 minus 1, which is 3. So y value is greater than 0. So to conclude, when I pick x equals to 0 for my test point, I get the y value is less than 0. So where is x equals to 0 test point coming from? It's coming from this interval here, the x value between -1 to 1. So which means that this interval right here, so this interval right here is my solution for this equation. So let's compare the solution with graphic method. So we'll see that x squared minus 1 less than 0, x between -1 to 1 is my solution for this example. So it matches. So both graphic method and algebra method matches with this type of inequalities. So this works. So I hope this video really helps you how to solve inequalities involving one variable. So see you next time.